Good morning, everyone. It's about 9 o'clock. Thank you for joining us here today. As everyone continues to roll in, if you could use the chat and then just share what area of campus you're joining us from today. So as people continue to roll in, this is the 2021 social media updates, and we are here to share all the major updates that have happened so far this year. There's been a lot, and so we're here today to help you answer any questions you might have so you feel comfortable with them and you can try them out and then use them on your social too. And hello, everyone from Klein Library. We have Chaos, First Gen, Graduate College, University Marketing. Again, thank you for joining us, and feel free to use the chat at any time to ask any questions you might have. I'm Maria Decabuter, Assistant Director of NAU Social Media. I've been at NAU since 2013, and in my time here, I can honestly say that nothing about social media has stayed the same, and I'm still caught off guard by all the new changes that we'll get to in a bit. First, I want to introduce some members of my team who I have here with me. We will start with Austin.
Hey everyone, Austin Young here. I started with NAU in 2015 when I transitioned from student and intern.
Hi everyone, my name's Carla. I've been with the NAU social team since 2019. I think it was the summer before my sophomore year, and I'm going into my senior year this fall. So it's been super exciting to be with the team for this long, and like Maria said, social media is an ever-changing thing, and I've learned a lot while being with the team.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Becca Sullivan, and I'm going to be a junior this fall at NAU, and I've been with NAU Social since fall 2020.
So first up, we're going to get started with breaking the ice and having a little fun with it. So whenever we do these things, our audience are always so varied. So first, we'd like to get an overview of your interests. First question is, what is your favorite platform? And this is you personally. So I know some of you do social media for work as well. So take that aspect out of it, and this is just you. So use the chat and share your response for what your favorite social media platform is. Twitter, Instagram. We've had our first TikTok, our last session. No one said TikTok. That's awesome. Snapchat. We didn't have any other in Snapchat either. This group is different and interesting. Nicole, your comment is same as me. I would prefer Insta, but I'm stuck on Facebook so my older family members can see what we are up to. Same thing. I know my mom doesn't see something on Facebook. She's like, why didn't you share it with me? It's like, Mom, I sent you a text. Going from what we had our presentation before, a lot of that was focused on Facebook, but it's interesting to see, as I mentioned, the reason we do these polls is to see where everyone is at. This past year, especially with COVID, we've seen a lot of people focus on their Instagram game and especially moving more toward TikTok as well. So the next question, are you on social media too much or not enough? Too much is like, I need to put my phone down. Someone please take it away from me. Or not enough is like, I'd like to know more about the updates, maybe have more time to just like play around in the apps. Not enough. Depends on the day. Yes, that is very true. Sometimes I feel like I'm very good at having my boundaries and being like, okay, I'm done with work, I'm going to put it away. But then sometimes, you know, I'm on it just for personal because I do like to dig into the platforms and see new things. And then it's like, oh, where did the time fly by? Especially as someone else mentioned, when you're on TikTok. And if people need help with the too much part, we can definitely help with that as well. The next question in the chat, were you more active on social this past year due to the pandemic? Some no, some yes. Not directly, but I was more active at the start, but it died off. For us, I don't necessarily think that we were more active, but just our volume definitely got a lot higher, especially in our DMs, where people would use email and things like that before. We definitely saw an increase in our DMs, and people were replying to our stories, so they would get answers. Next question, how equipped do you feel using social media professionally? Not sure what I'm doing. I could use some more support. I've got it figured out. Not sure what I'm doing. Could use some support. Okay, well, that's another good thing, because this is, again, what we're here for. If you are feeling like you could use a little help, feel free to email us. We hold social media office hours, we call them, and it's like 30 minutes. We just find a time to talk all your strategy, answer any questions you have. Summer is a great time to revisit your social media and, get a really good plan in place for fall. And especially if you had new people come on, kind of onboarding them to expectations and what to do, we are happy to help with that. Okay, so we're first going to start off with 2021 big picture trends. So what we've seen so far across social media is that live streams will remain popular. A lot of people, again, as I said, used it because of the pandemic, but people have gotten used to being able to do things in the comfort of their own home. So live streaming will definitely continue to gain popularity and should be a part of your strategy. This is a question for all of you. Did any of you go live on social for the first time this past year? And if you did, Keisha, do you want to share what live did you do?
Yeah, when we did the Parade of Nations, it was the very first time we live streamed the Center for International Education's Parade of Nations, and it was a huge hit. We had all these people that couldn't make it to the actual in-person event, and so they were really excited they could watch along with us.
Yeah, and you guys did a really good job too, promoting all of it beforehand. So that was nice to see. How did you feel doing live? Because I know when we do it, even though we plan it all out, it's still so nerve-wracking day of.
I think it was good. It wasn't too bad. I just kind of followed along. I should have thought of it in advance, but I got there and I was like, I have my cell phone. We can do this live. So I turned it on and went with it, and it worked pretty well.
Good. Well, that's perfect, because that's another thing that's important for people to know, is that sometimes you can get stuck into it's live. It needs to be this big production with a fancy camera and things like that. But no, what more people want is just to feel part of it. And so if all you have is your phone and you just press record, that's going to be more productive than you not doing it because you don't think you have the right tools in place. Thank you for sharing that. So another big picture trend is stories will be a permanent content format. If you've come to one of our presentations, our social media office hours, we always talk about stories and using it in conjunction with the rest of your communication plan. So currently, more than 500 million users interact with Instagram stories every day. Stories were the predominant content format in previous years, but again, they're not going away. But what might be changing is how you create stories. So before, sometimes you just pull up your camera and be like, you know what, this isn't good enough for the feed, but this would be good for stories. So now we're kind of seeing stories as being more planned and less spur of the moment. And there's been more being put into what types of content are being put into stories, and specifically in terms of using photos and videos. So a Social Insider study found that images in stories have a 5.65% higher tap forward rate than videos. So tap forward rate is the number of people who saw your story and then, tapped it and moved on to the next. That same report also found that stories with photos had more drop-offs than videos, showing that people tend to spend more time viewing videos. So what does that mean for your stories? It's really important to have a mix of photo and video in your stories. Start off with that picture to draw them in, and then continue with video, and then introduce, have photos mixed in between that. And as you're doing videos, also think of who's watching it. Sometimes people, if they just see video that doesn't have any captions, they might just kind of click through it. So really add those captions on it. We'll be talking about later, but there's a new Instagram feature that will really help with accessibility in this area as well. The next thing is authenticity and transparency reign. So you've seen this all this past year, is that your audience wants you to be real. We've seen a growth of influencers on all platforms. And this isn't just large settings, there's micro influencers as well. People want you to be able to trust them and be honest with them. So how does that relate to what you're doing? It could be as simple as, if you make a mistake on your social media channel, own up to it. We're not perfect either. We've had a lot of times where we've had, errors, typos on our posts, and, someone's caught it, and then we'll reply back and say, oh, thanks for catching that. And just showing that, you're not immune to it as well. And the same thing too, but if you're dealing with kind of a larger issue, like a negative comment, openly address it. Don't ever try to delete those comments, especially if it's not necessarily going against any guidelines. Really try to take it offline if you can, but try to communicate with that user and avoid anything that looks like you're just trying to hide things.
And lastly, the world of AR and filters expands. So augmented reality, or AR, experiences like lenses, filters, and effects are becoming more user-friendly, accessible, and more common across platforms. Augmented reality, if you don't know, is taking computer-generated elements and putting them out in the quote-unquote real world, such as like on your phone with like pictures or stories. With phones becoming more advanced, we're seeing this more commonplace and people are having access to it. It is inherently interactive and highly effective for engagement. And quick history lesson, as far as social media is concerned, it initially started on Snapchat a few years ago. I think we all remember that dancing hot dog. But it has quickly moved to other platforms like Instagram and Facebook, who have really pioneered it. That's where we've seen advance, such as like on Instagram stories. And interestingly enough, even Pinterest has it to showcase user content, like mock-ups of their designs and such. And we have utilized it to showcase lumberjack pride. So lately, we've used it for graduation to show a augmented reality version of Old Main with the background, or with NAU Bound for people to show that they're proud and happy to come here to NAU. And it will play like the NAU fight song and have Louis. And fun fact, you can even use it on Zoom, such as right now where I'm using it to enhance the colors, or if you're using it for your Zoom background. And with most experiences and organizations having to wind down on in-person experiences, we find that more companies are using augmented reality for to enhance their virtual experiences. Brands are quickly buying in this latest social media trend by creating AR filters to promote their new products or to encourage fan interaction. This keeps your audiences engaged and entertained, and can even help you attract new prospectees with the right promotion. And the best part, it's become accessible from community creation to just consumer consumption. Lumberjack tip: take a more organized approach and plan for stories. Create a content calendar specifically for stories, and also storyboard your content out. It is honestly fun. This helps keeps your content pool diversified and allows you to, and well thought out, allows you to avoid rehashing the same thing over and over again. And as Maria and people say in social media, this is a learn as you go kind of industry. So you'll find that you can revisit old things and improve upon them. Try new things, use new features. New things are always coming out. Like Maria said earlier, incorporate a mix of photo and video. Take some time and log into Snapchat or Zoom settings to see AR feature and how it's being used. Like I mentioned, if you don't see something, you could always create your own AR filters or stickers to things like Spark AR, which is Facebook, Lens Studio, which is Snapchat, and on Giphy. It's all free publicity and is free. Also take time to download TikTok and check it out for yourself. And believe me, there are a ton of things on there. It's practically endless. It isn't just for Gen Z. It isn't for any generation. Just try it out. And we're not telling you to make a TikTok account, but you should just be aware of how different generations or demographics receive and create their content. Understanding communication styles and preferences of particular demographics, especially the ones you target, will help you better connect and resonate with them through your own channels. It will also broaden your scope on current trends and happenings in the world.
I think this area is really important to you because especially what we've done this past year is take a lot of the campus messages that have so much news about COVID with testing and vaccinations and all of that, and try to make it into something that students not only will look at, but they will try to watch the whole thing. And so it's very strange because you're taking an academic thing or news, and a lot of times when my team comes to me, I will like shorten it up, and it feels weird to do that at first, but then if you go in and you're watching TikToks and you're watching the news that they consume, you'll see how visual it has to be. So this really has helped me figure out how we need to respond to our students, because this emails don't cut it anymore. You have to have something that's visual, that will be eye-catching, and we've seen that with a lot of, especially our reels. When we did share information about like COVID testing, we saw that people watched it over and over again, and they came back to that as a news source for what was happening.
Before we jump into some of the more heavy stuff on platforms, we're going to quickly review some terms you might hear a lot, but maybe are unsure of what they mean. First off, engagement rate. How much audience accounts are interacting with your account and how often? We see this through actions like likes, clicks, shares, and comments. And these might be different depending on the app. For example, Twitter has retweets versus just normal shares from like Facebook. This is important because it indicates the level of interest that audience has in a post or piece of content. These insights can be used to better understand past performance and to create more content that resonates with them. Next up, impressions. The number of times a user may have seen your story or post, such as on their timelines. Basically, think of it as how many times a user is drawn back to your specific piece of content, whether organically on their own or helped through an algorithm. Could they have found it helpful or interesting? Say there's an important campus announcement and I find myself needing to refer to it or maybe show a nearby friend. Each time is an impression. Reach. The number of unique users that see your content. This might show how much your piece of content resonates with the larger populace, as it might sometimes surpass your usual number or even followers. Could have been shared on a peer-to-peer basis, shared on a timeline or story, or could the algorithm have favored it? All these help shape the content we create and better understand the needs of what our audience wants. We often get asked, what's more important, impressions or reach? Well, it depends. It matters on what your goal and objectives are. Let's say a story posted had 3,000 followers, 3,000 viewers. However, the number of impressions were 6,000. What does that mean? That means people interacted with your content and viewed it more than once. Let's say you're posting a tutorial on how to register for classes. Having a larger number of impressions than reach would make more sense in that scenario. High engagement rates will indicate audience health, i.e. how responsive and engaged your audience is, and how many real or such active followers you have. Suitable variety in content, and your overall awareness of your brand.
We're going to jump into our platforms. And first up, we have Facebook. So quick question for you all. What % of people are on Facebook on a daily basis? Drop your guesses in the chat. %, 40%, 60%, 70%, 35%, 50%, 10% of college age students. I like the specificity, 40%. So the answer, and John was super close. John said 73%. It's actually 74%. And I was extremely surprised by this finding. I personally was going to guess around the 40%, just because all the traction that TikTok and Instagram have continued to receive. I thought Facebook might go down a bit, but it doesn't look like that's the case. As we know, Facebook isn't going anywhere. And in fact, they're updating their family of products to entice you to stay in that apps. I'm only there for the groups. Yes, as we'll talk about. Facebook does have features that, they want you to stay in it. It has had some updates this past year that are a bit confusing. If anyone uses Facebook, the business manager, has anyone been confused or not liking the new layout? I will raise my hand right there. It's a bit confusing. You go in, not a fan, thank you. You go in, before it was a nice draft library, and now you go in and you have to go to the content library, and they recently broke it out into pre-published and post-published posts. So it's a little bit more confusing. They say they're fixing things to make it more user-friendly, but we'll see how that turns out. But know that if you're going into things and you're like a bit confused about where some of your posts have went, it looks like they disappeared, but it's still in there. Sometimes it just takes a while for it to get back into their new library. And with their additional updates to Facebook, they have a new ability to customize the page. So I don't know if anyone has done this yet, but you can go in and, customize your tabs and move it around. So the things that you do most show first to your pages. So let's say you have a lot of events. So you post a lot of, photo albums as recaps or podcasts. You can change your tabs around. So those are the first things that people see when they come to your page. And additionally, you could also remove the tabs that you don't use. So people don't or aren't seeing content they don't need to see. Facebook has also has better SEO optimization now. And so if you sprinkle keywords on the following areas of your page, your about section, your description, photo captions, notes, and updates, it's more likely to be pulled in. So then if someone Googles something, they'll pull it from, your Facebook, your Twitter, in addition to, the website. So that's all really important because that helps you build a larger traffic and search history. So people see that and then ultimately go back to the NAU landing page. Another update that we've seen is cross-app messaging. So I know when it first came out, I was confused. I'm like, okay, this is an Instagram message. Why am I seeing it while I'm on my Facebook? But because, it's merged and it's all under one roof, you can do that now. Under the messaging, you can not only see messages from both, but you can reply to both as well. So the same thing, if someone messages you, they'll be able to see it, whatever platform you're on. Another new feature they introduced is a Q&A. So Q&As are really popular on Instagram stories. It's still popular on Snapchat, and it's been introduced on TikTok as well. So how might this be used in Facebook? Well, Facebook has still been really great for sharing campus news. You know, a lot of our alumni, our parents are on it, and then our students are on it because their parents tag them. So what could you use for a Q&A? Possibly like, you know, weekly updates, anything you need to share. You can have a weekly Q&A with a college rep. Anytime you're troubleshooting with new processes or updates, you know, just have kind of a designated day that you can do a Q&A and get that information out there, because that Q&A will stay on your page. And you can also, so all the questions go kind of like be in a stack. And then after the Q&A is over, it puts all the stack in one place. So you can get a link and then you can share it out and refer back to it if people have similar questions. And there was a question in the chat, does Twitter and Facebook still have cross-posting? Yes, you can post, share your like tweet to Facebook, and same thing with share a Facebook post to a tweet. But we always recommend, if you can, to adapt the posts for each platform, just to make it seem new and fresh for each of those.
Okay, diving into our next platform, Twitter. So a lot of people head to our Twitter to find out news or about upcoming events on and off campus. So unfortunately, we don't see as much interaction as we used to on the platform, but people are still checking on our links and taking in the information we share. So to start it off, I have a chat question for you all. When I say Twitter, what do you think of? Twitter rants, celebrity arguments, too many posts. Check what's trending. Those are all great answers. So there's quite a few platform updates for Twitter. So starting with disappearing tweets. So Twitter has introduced this new platform called Fleets, which is basically their version of Instagram stories. So these will come up on the top of the Twitter app, and they'll be there for 24 hours and then they'll disappear. So if you don't think a post is suitable or necessary for like a feed post or a timeline post, you can do this instead. So it'll stay there for 24 hours and then disappear. So your followers can view that, and if they want to screenshot it or reply to it, and then it will disappear like Instagram stories. So fleets are only postable and visible on Twitter mobile apps. So on your phone, on a tablet. And fleets can be pretty much anything you can think of. So text, GIFs, photo or video posts. And then you can also fleet your reactions to tweets. And they can also be customized with a variety of background colors and text options. So you can do a lot with these, and we highly suggest you check it out. Okay, the next feature, introducing Twitter Spaces. So Twitter Spaces are an audio-only chat function created as an answer to Clubhouse. So Clubhouse, if you don't know what it is, Clubhouse is a new platform. It's an invitation-only social media platform for iOS and Android, where users can communicate in voice chat only rooms. So similar to like a podcast, but instead of maybe like video and audio, it's just audio. So basically a live podcast, you can have up to 5,000 people. So you can invite different creators or different people to join your like live podcast. And those people can participate through speaking and listening if you invite them to do so. So Twitter is introducing their version of this, which is basically similar to Clubhouse. So instead of a live stream, maybe similar to Instagram, this is just Twitter's version, and it's just audio instead. So another feature that's new on Twitter, which is extremely helpful for us here at NAU Social, is full-size images in the timeline. So Twitter used to crop images that you'd post. So if you post a single image that's too big for the timeline to like understand, it would crop the picture. So now you can see full-size images in your timeline. So nothing will be cropped this is just for if you post a single picture. So if you post a single picture, it will not crop it at all, and your followers will be able to see the full picture. So we've used this for showing off campus and showing off campus activities, and it's really helpful, and it just creates a better aesthetic for our followers. And then another feature is tweets as stickers on Snapchat. So if your followers see a tweet they want to share, you could usually go share it to like Instagram or Facebook or another platform. Well, now you can share it to Snapchat. So your followers can actually go from Twitter, export a tweet to Snapchat, and it will come up as a sticker for them to post on their story. So then their followers on Snapchat will be able to click on that sticker and it will link them back to the original tweet, which is really helpful. It's just less steps than what it used to be. And now linking Twitter and Snapchat is really helpful. This is also said to be coming on Instagram too. So it'll be the same kind of feature. It will link back to Snapchat, and then your followers on there can click right there and it will take them to the original post. So finally, another chat question for you all. What are your thoughts on Clubhouse or audio spaces like I mentioned previously? It's kind of a new update to social platforms, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. Yeah, I understand. It's different. Yeah, haven't tried it, heard about it on LinkedIn.
Like Becca said, I do think Spaces and Clubhouse is one of those areas that seems very confusing at first, because you read about it and then you get an idea like, okay, it's audio things, but then there hasn't really been opportunities for us to dig into it, because like Clubhouse is invite only. So seeing how people have asked, well, how does it actually work? Can you click on it? Like, what does that do? We are learning about this as well, because these are all really recent updates. But it's more just kind of seeing is this something that you would want to do? Like when we were talking about how would this be used for our current students, I personally don't think that they would be able to have the patience to be in something like that and wait and listen. But I do think because we're heading on lots of people are into podcasts, that this might be something for our higher ed community moving into the future.
So moving on to our next platform, we have Instagram, which kind of excites me to talk about because I noticed that a lot of you mentioned that Instagram was your favorite platform. So a lot of you may know about these new features, but if you don't, I hope that they kind of excite you a little. So Instagram is currently testing, and this has been in the works for a really long time. I feel like I first heard about it sometime last year, but they're in the works of hiding the like counts on posts. And I know that at the beginning of this year, some accounts were seeing it and some weren't. So I have a feeling that they are only testing it out in certain regions as of right now. And then they are also testing removing the ability to share feed posts to stories. I'm not sure how this is well, I don't see how it's beneficial because I tend to post a lot of NAU Flagstaff's posts to my personal stories because I want my followers to see other posts that I enjoy. And then they are also currently testing the option to add tweets from Twitter to your stories. Becca kind of went over this, but if you're on Twitter and you see a tweet that you really like and want to post it to your story, the share option will kind of give you the option to put it on your Instagram story as a sticker. And from there, whoever sees your story can kind of click on that sticker itself and it'll take you back to the original thread in Twitter. So some new features that they added are rooms. So when you go on Instagram Live, you have the ability to add up to 3 people to your live. So that means that 4 people can go live together at once. And then they also introduced, this is fairly new, I kind of don't really understand it yet. We're kind of, in the works of getting the hang of it this summer and have some plans for it. But guides are a brand new way to share and consume content on Instagram. So what they do is allow users to follow a curated flow of posts with commentary, which is great for step-by-step guides, tips, and recommendations. So when I was doing research on Instagram guides, I found that there will be 3 types of them. So the first is post guide. So this guide will let you feature posts posted to your profile or ones you've saved from other accounts. So to include other people's content in a guide that you want to create, you will have to save it first using the bookmark icon to save them to your saved content. And then one thing to remember when you are making a post guide is that you can include up to 30 posts to share in one single guide. The second guide that I thought would be really useful is the places guide. So you can also create a guide specific to a location and recommend it to the audience, providing that the location is listed on Instagram. So once you choose a places guide type, you select your location or place and then choose up to 5 posts related to that place. So unlike the post guide, this is limiting you to only 5 posts. And then the last one, which might be useful to you, might not be, is the products guide, which I would see being more useful for, a company or a brand that has products to sell. Yeah, this one's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's kind of a guide where you would post all of the products that you're wanting to share with other people. And another new feature that we really want to try out is the caption sticker for accessibility. So on your Instagram stories, you now have an option to add live captioning. So I tried it out the other day because it was new. I was kind of excited to see it. So I recorded a random video of my TV and whatever was playing on it. So when you record that video, it kind of captures the audio that is going on and it'll translate it and put it on your screen directly. And then another new feature, which was implemented a while ago, is Reels. So as a lot of you may know, Reels is kind of, I'm not going to say knockoff, but it's a copycat version of, TikToks. And Instagram is really placing an emphasis in this area. So if it fits into what you're doing, I would really give it a chance. It plays into the Instagram algorithm. Instagram puts a premium on accounts and people that are trying out their new features. And Reels is one of those that they're really pushing. So an example for us, we've seen Reels perform way better than videos on our page in terms of views, but we've also made our mistakes. We noticed that a lot of popular accounts on Instagram were kind of reposting their TikToks onto Reels, which we've kind of learned isn't really the right way to go about it. It's kind of best to be authentic on both platforms and, somehow show that they're different. So, I think it's best to kind of learn and try out both and see what works for each platform.
And I'm just going to jump in real quick and highlight the rooms real quick, especially as we are going back to in-person events, but also kind of keeping a hybrid. This would be great if you're having, a campus partnership, you're having a live thing, but you're also doing a digital thing. You can have people on the ground going live and then bring in people who are watching it on social to just have that community. And you can think about it too as what events would you maybe have hosted as a panel on campus? But with all these new features, instead you can host an interview and bring in those people and having an Instagram live. So just things to think about as you're planning for fall and seeing what you can do if you do have limitations with in-person events, like how can you use these features to still have those great conversations.
Next up, TikTok. Did you know worldwide TikTok usage is 689 million users? And in the US alone, there's 100 million monthly active users. So why are we on TikTok? To put it short, it's largely informal, short, and concise. We can show what NAU has to offer in so many ways. In fact, it allows us to tie in the NAU brand and what it means to be a lumberjack with current trends and pop culture. First off, it allows us to communicate campus initiatives and announcements like COVID testing or hashtag mask up jacks in a way that is more digestible, less formal, and more fun through these short videos. It helps us draw users into and drum up excitement for happenings that make up the larger college experience, like homecoming, welcome week, and that transition to college. Speaking of that transition to college, our most popular TikToks touch upon our hashtag NU Bound campaign for all those incoming freshmen. It allows us to create social media specific initiatives such as challenges. So the most recent one we can think of is for NU homecoming, we did the Lumberjack Show Your Pride challenge with NU athletics. We partook in that and encouraged our fans to do it. So people were showing their NU gear, their NU cheer for all things homecoming. And speaking of NU Bound, our most popular TikTok was 8 seconds long and was only 8 seconds long, and basically showed one of our team members joking how they were told not to pick a college on a single visit, and then we showcased a few pictures of Flagstaff and the NU campus, only for them to accept it after. Even though this was simple, it really resonated with a lot of incoming freshmen who might feel the same. And although it wasn't really a trend, we tied it to an audio sound that people found relatable and funny, and it was a Disney sound, so it brought in that cultural connotations. And right now, it currently sits at 145,000 views, 20,000 likes, and 109 comments. We also were able to work with other people on campus. We shared this with NU admissions and all the other NU bound ones to share in their correspondence with incoming freshmen. As the name suggests, TikTok Live allows you to have live streams that show up on your followers' feeds where they can leave comments or respond to you. As of right now, TikTok only allows users to go live if they have a minimum of 1,000 followers. Have a TikTok but not enough followers. If you think your audience is on TikTok, coordinate with us and have a live stream on our account. One of the new features is the Q&A option, which makes it easier for viewers and followers to ask questions directly. Creators and followers can designate important questions as Q&A questions. Creators can then respond to questions with either text, video replies, or even pull them up during live streams and answers in real time. They can be added to the Q&A profile link in their bio. So right now, we had people send questions for us that we can make future content about, like what is there to do in summer in Flagstaff, or maybe questions about that transition to college.
And as you're thinking about digital communications, also kind of think about how you can maybe spice up some emails. So maybe in your email, you can add a link to an Instagram story you did, or a TikTok that you've seen that covers the subject. Just giving additional visuals in that message as well for people who are better relate that way. So next up, we have podcasts. Chat question for you all. What % of Americans listen to podcasts monthly? You can put your answer in the chat and I will give you a clue. In 2018, 44% of Americans 12 or older had listened to a podcast. And now in 2021, that answer is 57%. So as you can see, podcasts have continued to grow. They're growing fastest among older Americans. From 2020 to 2021, the percentage of Americans aged 55 and older who listen to podcasts monthly increased by 18%. And at present, More than 1/4 of all 55 and up consumers in the United States are listening to podcasts once a month. So each week right now, more Americans listen to podcasts than they have Netflix accounts. Another big stat was, on average, podcast fans listen to 8 podcasts during the course of a week. So this is really important because we, going into our content, we created our Lumber Chats podcast, I believe, 2 years ago, with the goal to really get into this audience and tap into it and provide additional ways for people to connect with us and to feature our voices. So if you have a topic you're really passionate about, please know that you can come pitch it to us. We're happy to have you on as a guest. And then also, in terms of what you guys are doing on your own, think about it as, if you host a lot of panels or speaking events, podcasts might benefit you. You could just record the audio, and then afterwards you could turn it into a podcast. And this works for Zoom recordings too. Say you were with admissions and holding a Discover NAU panel, and you have different students talking about their experience as a lumberjack, what their favorite parts of campus life are. You could record that audio and then, edit it and create a podcast that has the different people's stories. So there's lots of creative outside the box thinking for ways that you can turn just your regular events into a podcast, in addition to, the normal podcast interviews. So we see these as great ways to communicate. And we found, especially working with faculty and staff and professors, it's a lot more accessible because you can just hop on a computer and, record the interview, and it still has that good quality, and it's a little less intimidating, than to meet. And if this were to be like a video interview. So for people who are a little bit more camera shy, podcasts are a great opportunity. So overall, what we've seen, not from just the trends, but doing what we do, best practices to increase engagement, because this is what we get asked all this time. What do we need to do? And honestly, it's really simple. You could overthink things, but when it comes down to it, it's just showing up. It's being present. Are you posting consistently on your networks? Are you engaging with your community? Social media, it's a two-way street. You can't just expect to put your stuff out there and have people come to you. You have to put in the work, like just in a relationship. You need to be answering questions. You need to be liking other people's posts. The more you think of it as, are you creating a community? Is there a community management? I think that helps to showcase what you're doing as a whole. So a tip I like to think about is just be social every single day. Take a 15-minute social coffee break, and do at least one of these things from our list. Like posts, save content, leave a comment, post on Insta story, share an Insta feed post. A lot of people get the wrong impression that to be social, you need to post something every single day of your own. And that's not the case. A post can simply be resharing someone's feed story to your story. There's lots of things you can do like that. You can be an active social media participant by looking at people's posts and campus partners saying, hey, that's a great event, can't wait to be there. Or, maybe it's one of your students and being like, that was a great project you put on, congratulations, great job. All of those are little ways that you can participate and engage on social.
Another way you can do this is encourage more interactions with interactive elements. Instagram stickers are a great way to encourage audience engagement. And the more engagement your posts get, the higher they'll be boosted by Instagram's algorithm. They often make a user pause from scrolling to understand what is in front of them, or to have a say or feel in part of something much larger in the community dialogue. For example, we've asked users through poll stickers what their favorite weather is, snow or sunshine, and from that we've posted more snow stuff, which is typically our most successful post and where a lot of people like to talk about their experiences on. Or perhaps in recent times, we used question stickers to further gauge what our community does and does not understand and what they need help with. There are a lot of Instagram stickers. I definitely recommend checking them out. New ones are being added almost annually. However, the best ones for driving engagement are the poll, emoji slider, and question stickers. Remember to tag people in your posts and stories. Make it easy for them to reshare to their own story. This creates a larger sense of community and a more diverse pool of content. Not only will they get a notification that they've been tagged, they will be able to easily reshare and extend the reach of the original post, thus bringing both audiences together.
Oh, sorry about that, I was muted. Another really essential practice is to drive conversation with engaging captions and comments. So Instagram themselves has confirmed that comments are super important when it comes to ranking your post in the Instagram feed. So it's a great idea to encourage as many as possible for your posts. And one of the best ways to do this is by writing good captions that kind of encourage conversation in the comments. So an example of this that we normally do is for, like, say we have an NAU grad post. The caption would include to give a shout out for an NAU grad below, and that would encourage conversation in the comments. They would then tag NAU grads, encouraging them to maybe comment even further.
So another way is to optimize your hashtag strategy. This is very important for all social platforms. So adding hashtags to your posts is one of the most effective ways to reach more people, which means more views for the algorithm to take into account. So like Austin said, if we post a snow picture or anything else on our account, we always add hashtags to the bottom of our posts, like hashtag Flagstaff, hashtag NAU, hashtag Northern Arizona, because that drives more people to see our posts, which adds more views and encourages interaction with our audience.
And a question in the chat, do you use hashtags on Twitter and Facebook? We do use hashtags, but not as many as we would with an Instagram post. But yes, we like to do hashtags to help facilitate hashtag searching, but also hashtags kind of provide a sense of what the post will be about, like the subject, and then the caption. So that helps to place our post in a context. And the last bullet is keep on top of your DMs. Much like comments and likes, direct messages are a strong engagement indicator. So regularly invite your audience to DM their questions and feedback to you. Encourage quick emoji reactions. And a tip we always have, if you find yourself getting the same question asked over and over, you can actually go back in to your settings and create quick replies, and you could answer your most common questions that way. So again, just always kind of reply to your DMs, even if you don't know the answer at the time. You can just say, we're checking into this and I will get back to you. So now we have a couple minutes for questions if anyone has. I also please encourage you to leave your handles. If you do have social media for campus profiles, leave your handles in here. We'll compile a list and share them out along with the presentation afterwards. And here's also some helpful resources. As I said, please feel free to email us, social@nau.edu. We do social media office hours. We help facilitate takeovers. So whether that's a student you know who wants to get on our account, or you just talk about your area, we are happy to facilitate that. So thank you for joining us. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. If not, then we will be sending out the presentation later, as well as the list that you guys are providing us. Thanks. Thanks, Holly.